Well, hello there, motherfuckers. And it's time for another TV review. And of course, everybody knows on Sunday, The Walking Dead Season 6 premiere. It's like one of the most popular shows. Even the spin off, Fear the Walking Dead, did marvelously well. Some people were lying and said it did bad ratings, even though it got ratings that most shows would fucking kill for. But, nonetheless, I guess there's some haters there of The Walking Dead. They don't appreciate the pacing of the show. And I don't know, a lot of people love this show, including myself. I appreciate the storytelling elements of it. I appreciate the pacing. And this show really does know when to, give us something big and when not to. The pacing is perfect in my eyes, or close to it. Now, I could see some people say that the show is boring. There are some times when the show does fill up on a bit too much dialogue. Perhaps it's a bit too wordy in some parts in certain scenes, and certain scenes could end quicker, and some newer scenes could come right after that to kind of keep it moving a little bit better. But then again, no show is perfect. Um, it's very hard to get a show to be interesting at every single minute. That's why there's Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. But anyway, Walking Dead, in my opinion, is very, very, very close to being a show like that. I just always thought that Breaking Bad was a little bit better, and they really took advantage of every single second of that show to build on something. But the season 6 premiere was a very well done episode, and it was a very great way to kick off the series. A lot of intrigue, a lot of progression in the story, and it really, was very intriguing at the end. Spoilers. Stop the video right here. If you want the quick review, that's pretty much what I could say about it without giving any spoilers. The episode ends with the honking of a horn, and it's very mysterious. But here's pretty much the story for people who are not interested in watching the show, want to know a little bit more about it, or well, you're gonna be kind of lost. But anyway, let's discuss what happened this episode. So we see that not too far outside the town of Alexandria is a little quarry, you could say, like a little pit, like off of a cliff. And there are a ton of walkers there. And to say a ton would be a giant understatement. This, said on The Talking Dead, which is the post-show, the wrap-up show, I guess you could say, for The Walking Dead. This was the most walkers on screen at one time. So the fact that there were that many extras there is pretty fucking awesome. I mean, that was pretty much historic. That might have been the most of one thing seen on the screen at one time that wasn't CGI'd up the ass. I mean, that's fucking incredible. We basically got something that looked similar to, the Clone Army and Star Wars Episode 2, but if all of that wasn't CGI and that was all real people, this was massive. This was awe-inspiring. This was, you guys got to understand, practical effects versus CGI. If it is possible to do something using practical effects, costumes, and makeup, it's going to win every time in my book. I'm sorry, but that is the way how it is with me. If it is real, if it is tangible, and I mean that in every sense of the word, like that you could actually touch it, that is a physical being right there, that does so much for me when it comes to a movie or a TV show. I mean, that does a world of difference if it's computer generated, if it is an image that, is made to look like it's there but isn't. And I know that it takes something away. If something is really there and it is happening, then that is awesome. I mean, that is like the feeling that I got when I was a kid when I saw the Ninja Turtles movie. The fact that those were real costumes and those were people that were made up to look like the Ninja Turtles, those are the Ninja Turtles for me. That is just like the walkers people are made up to look like. What those are walkers. Those are zombies for me. That is the fucking Walking Dead. That is the undead. In my eyes. I mean, that is the closest we're ever going to get to a real zombie. And, just to see, just basically what had it to be thousands of people all lined out there, all with their makeup done and shit. I mean, some of them were out of focus, so maybe not all the makeup was done, all to a T, but still, it was just amazing to see that image right there on your TV screen. I mean, that is just, for filmmakers and, aspiring TV producers, directors, or writers, or whatever you might be, a graphic designer, somebody working in visual arts. I mean, that is just like right there, that image is just, that should be your inspiration. I mean, what they did there was just phenomenal. The way how it looked was just, oh man, it really is. It's one of those moments where you really just have to take a look at your TV, what's being presented, and really appreciate it, and the grand scope of things. It really was a historic thing to see on TV. And it really put all zombie movies and horror movies to shame. When we're trying to see like a massive amount of zombies in one spot, I mean, it was just amazing. So anyway, they're being blocked off in this quarry by a number of tractor trailers, but the gap between the tractor trailers, I keep slurring that, keeps getting bigger and bigger. The walkers keep pounding up against it, and they're going to break free soon. So pretty much what the gang is all up to, Rick and the gang, is they want to draw these walkers away and somehow, get rid of them. And so they're crafting a plan to draw them far away from Alexandria and just fucking, basically get rid of all these walkers, kill them. You know, not really laying out what the exact plan is of what they plan to do with them when they lure them away, but I guess that remains to be seen. And the opposition right there, which is always a great thing about this show. We see a lot of opposition that kind of sometimes reminds me of politics and kind of like what's going on now in the, whole presidential race. It really does remind me of that. Rick has got a plan that a lot of people are getting behind, and they want to follow Rick. And then there's another guy called Carter who's there, who's being the opposition. He wants to turn everybody against Rick. He wants them to kill Rick basically and stop this plan of Rick trying to free the walkers and guide them away. He feels the plan could go wrong. And then you see that Carter is then threatened by Rick and told to stop this, and then you see Rick then saying that he's not going to survive with that type of attitude, that type of cowardly attitude. He wants to try to find a way to build around the walkers and maintain that barrier, but Rick explains that that's going to be impossible. They're just putting off the inevitable. And the thing is about this episode that upset a lot of people is that when they were going back and showing like the opposition, all that actually happened, like they're showing previously. Even though this is all new material, they're presenting it as a flashback. So when they do the flashbacks, I guess you kind of have to see the episode to understand what I'm really talking about. I'm trying to find the words to really describe this to you. So when they do a flashback, they're pretty much showing Rick and the gang at the quarry and the people from Alexandria that decided to come along with Rick. They show, Rick there, and it's in color, right? So, of course, just like the show is, but when they flash back and show them making plans and building up to that point, it's in black and white. And a lot of people didn't like that. I personally loved it. The way how The Walking Dead is shot, it has a lot of film noir to it. So, there's a lot of brilliance in that respect. So I appreciated it. And it just, it brought back like memories of, Night of the Living Dead and stuff, seeing it in black and white. And I really, truly enjoyed that. I thought that was a really, really nice thing that they did. It was a nice little factor to put in there. To spruce things up and make it interesting. And, we've seen this, like, device before, where it's like a flashback, and because it's a memory, it's distant, it's black and white, so, kind of like if you stretch your mind around it a little bit, you'll understand why they took that direction with the show. Um, and I thought it was a good decision to do that. So they'll keep going back and forth between color and black and white. And the thing is, that was to keep it from getting confusing. Because, there's like times when you'd be like, oh, when this happened, is this happening now? How did the characters get to there? So to avoid that, they did a cool little thing to spruce it up. And I really appreciated that. That was a very smart decision on their part to, do that, to differentiate the times of the time periods of what was happening in this episode. So this episode had a lot to explain. In this episode, I felt that they did everything with every minute really meant something. And that what was good about it. They took their time with this episode, and I didn't really feel like there was any filler like in certain episodes. I really thought that they did a very good job. And so when Carter, the naysayer, finally gets what's coming to him, what Rick predicted, he gets killed by a walker, he gets bit on the face, and Rick puts him out of his misery with a with a knife to the neck. And I thought that was a very, very satisfying moment. I know that sounds terrible, but just the fact of him being a naysayer and just going against Rick, the hero, it's just, it was kind of just fulfilling to see him get what was coming to him and what was predicted by Rick. So that was a very, very good moment. And altogether, this episode was just, it was great. The black and white, seeing all the walkers on the screen at the same time, and just seeing how Rick's plan was going to flesh out. And the way how it ended, the honking of the horn, they have all the walkers on the road. Daryl's on his bike. Abraham, they're all in the car, and they're just driving, and suddenly there's a honking of a horn, and it's blaring. It's getting all the walkers off the path that they're leading them on. So now we have to wonder like who's honking this horn and everything. And I thought that was a really good cliffhanger. And this is only the first episode. So altogether, I thought that this was a really, really good way to start off the show. And for anybody that had any complaints about the very slow pacing of Fear the Walking Dead, this definitely made up for it. I liked Fear the Walking Dead. I appreciated what they went for, and I did like their season finale a lot. But this was a really good episode of the main Walking Dead, and I do prefer this show, of course. These characters mean a lot to me. And yeah, so this was good. If you haven't watched Walking Dead in a while, you might want to get caught up on it and watch this episode, because I thought this was really enjoyable. And for the people that don't really enjoy a lot of the pacing issues with this show, then I think they'll appreciate what they did with this episode. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be reviewing every single episode of this season unless there's like a lot really to talk about. I mean, there is always quite a bit to talk about in each episode, but yeah, we'll see where it goes. If you guys really, these videos really don't get a lot of views, and I enjoy doing them. But the thing is, like, if a fair amount of my subscribers or just whoever really wants to see me tackle these episodes, I'll be willing to do it. I will. Just let me know. Let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in seeing. You really want me to analyze and talk about these Walking Dead episodes and tell you what I liked and disliked about each one. So yeah. So if you guys do want to see me review episode 2, then shoot me a line. Anyway, yeah, just if not, then I'll just review the mid-season finale when it happens. That's usually what I've been doing on this channel. But yeah, just let me know about that. All right, guys.